Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today, as I wait for the box office estimates to drop, this little article, this little ditty from Scotty Boy has dropped on Forbes.com, which has me pretty intrigued, to say the very least. And so it says right there, the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker is the first billion-dollar disappointment. Now, as of this point right now in history, it has not crossed the billion-dollar mark. In fact, even Scotty Boy Mendelsohn says The Rise of Skywalker will pass $1 billion this week. And while it has performed under expectations since Christmas, the raw numbers show that audiences will still show up for Star Wars. And so that is indeed true. The film has made $1 billion, or rather is about to make $1 billion. I don't think, based on the fact that he's released this article, I don't think he believes that the $1 billion mark is going to be crossed as of today, as of Sunday, or at least according to the estimates of this Sunday, seeing that it was tracking well below expectations domestically, which likely means it was tracking well below expectations worldwide as well, meaning this film will probably not cross $1 billion until sometime during the actual week, or maybe not even until next weekend itself. Either way, the film is definitely set to cross the $1 billion mark. However, the fact that the film has slowed so much, the fact that the film has dropped around 90% from its opening weekend goes to show you that this film does not have the legs of other films previous, and also doesn't seem to have the legs to be able to surpass other films, other $1 billion films this year, like, for example, possibly even Joker. There is now a chance, there is now a scenario where Rise of Skywalker, which cost between $200 and $350 million production budget before you even put in marketing, which would raise it to around $500 to $600 million. All of that for a measly billion or so, versus the $55 million budget for Joker. And that film, of course, crossing the $1 billion mark, around $1,060 million, making over $500 million worth in net profit. Now, this film is still profitable. There's some people still arguing me and fighting me on that point. Rise of Skywalker is still profitable, but the fact that Scotty Boy Mendelsohn, the fact that a member of the show media who has gone to bat for films like Captain Marvel and Solo: Star Wars Story in the past, the fact that he is calling this film a disappointment, and not just that, but $1 billion and the first $1 billion disappointment, I think should speak volumes that currently Lucasfilm has a huge problem on their hands, because they are losing the fan base. They are losing, obviously, even the normie audience that are not showing up to this film as much as previously. Though Scotty Boy does make it clear, saying, hey, people will still go to see Star Wars, just, hey, this seems to be problematic. So let's dive into some of the words of what he actually has to go on and say. So Walt Disney Lucasfilm Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker earned an additional $15.3 million in its fourth weekend of release, dropping 55.6% from last weekend's. Keep in mind this, that the projections from Box Office Pro had the film making over $16 million, and other sites were saying that the film was expected to make around $17 million. So this film came in around $2 million underneath. And this has been the symbol. This has been consistently what's been going on every single weekend of its release. It has been underperforming every single weekend. It has come in well below all expectations, and that seems to be playing out with the overall box office as well. Again, dropping another 55.6% this weekend. So it's dropping 50%, above 50% every single week. Films that tend to have legs, that tend to do better over a long period of time and accrue more and more money over a period of time, tend to have drops in the 30s or 40s. If you're dropping half every single week, that means that you're losing steam very, very quickly, and we're not likely going to see a lot more money being pumped into Rise of Skywalker. I know there's some people out there trying to argue, oh, they're just going to buy tickets like they did for Captain Marvel. Again, there really was never any proof that actually happened. So let's just please let that conspiracy theory die and be put to bed. I'm so tired of seeing people saying they're going to buy tickets to push it over the edge. No. We have to understand this in the proper context. Disney ties the hands of theaters. They force theaters to have to show their films for at least 2 weeks. They force the theaters to show it at so many crazy times, and that is the reason why. And also, they put it in over 4,000 theaters. That's why this film made money, because they promoted the hell out of it, and so basically they could have done anything at this point. They could have put any movie really in theaters with the same amount of marketing and the same amount of push, put a generic name like Star Wars or Marvel on it, and it probably would have made around the same amount of money. It's because they have become masters of being able to tie the hands of theaters, and that's why the film makes money. It's not because they're buying tickets. It's not because of that damn conspiracy theory that still will not die. It's because they just know how to make money. If I can give praise to Disney at any point, it's they know how to make some money. Except when you look to the fact that they've spent $4 billion on this entire franchise, and they have pretty much run it into the ground. So overall, big picture, maybe not so good with money, but when it comes to their theatrical releases, they tend to do pretty well. So let's go ahead and dive into the numbers just a little bit. So a 55.6% drop from last weekend's $34.5 million weekend gross. To wit, this is the third consecutive week drop above 52% since the film opened for $177 million in mid-December. Two grim stats, at least in terms of legs, and that's why I've been arguing for a long time. It's the legs of this film that are really in trouble. It took the third worst fourth weekend drop for any $100 million plus opener, behind only BVS. Yes, let that sink in. BVS, which took a 61% drop in its fourth Friday to Sunday frame, alongside the $103 million launch of The Jungle Book and the fourth weekend of Rogue One. Second, for what it's worth, the film's fourth weekend gross represented a 91.3% drop from its 177.3. That means it is the largest drop from opening weekend to fourth weekend of any Star Wars film in history. This is, again, the end of the saga. This is the end of the Skywalker saga. The largest drop in Star Wars history, $1 million opening weekend. That's not a record for a major opener. Dawn of Justice, of course, is going to meet that one. $9 million fourth weekend gross, representing just 5% of his $166 million debut, but it's not great. So yeah, it might not be as bad as Dawn of Justice, but it's not really looking all that great either. The ninth episode of The Skywalker has still earned a strong $478.4 million in 24 days of domestic release. So again, for a general blockbuster, these would not be terrible numbers. Its weekend-to-weekend drops are close to Captain America: Civil War, which earned $408 million domestic from a $179 million opening after becoming Marvel's most front-loaded movie. Absent the holiday break period, which gave Rise of Skywalker 2 weeks worth of weekdays that played like glorified weekends, we may well have had a Star Wars 9 that earned under $400 million domestic, presuming a 48-52 split, which is where it is right now, and under an $850 million worldwide. That means that if this film had not gotten the Christmas release and had not gotten the holiday bumps, that this movie would have come in under $1 billion. So now you've got box office experts, people at Forbes.com saying, yeah, Christmas saved this movie from becoming a complete disaster. It's still not great. And the fact that we have to even say, yeah, guess what? This film would not have made a whole lot of money in comparison to the other films without this type of break says something incredibly it's absolutely insane. So what does this all say? What is this all speaking to? Basically, this is a great disappointment. No matter how you try and spin it, this film, even though it's going to cross $1 billion sometime this week, probably not today. Again, we're still waiting for those box office numbers to drop. Let me go ahead and see if we have any updates on that yet. Does not look like it, but it will cross the $1 billion mark. That indeed will still happen sometime this week or possibly next weekend, because it is making enough to be able to do that. But the fact that we're now coming to the point where we're likely going to see its daily numbers drop to about $1 million, if not under $1 million a day domestically, tells you that no one is still going back. No one is going back to see this movie. The people for repeat showings are not there. And the reason why is because the people that tend to be those repeat moviegoers are the hardcore fans. And the hardcore fans, as we all know, we're left in the dust by Lucasfilm. We're told, screw you by Lucasfilm. We're told, screw you by Kathleen Kennedy, especially Rian Johnson, and so many others associated with them, Pablo Hidalgo, you name it. The fans were screwed. The EU, of course, got completely decimated and destroyed, especially now with the new numbering system, with not them counting BBY as being the official way of counting it, though, of course, apparently they've now backtracked on that a little bit, probably because they realize if there's one community you don't go after, it's the EU community, and being friends with people like Ryan RK Outpost and Leave the Lighting, I can tell you, you do not go after them. By the way, I'm about 23 chapters into Revan, and holy crap, this story is fantastic. It just reminds me once again that the so-called we don't have source material narrative was complete crap, and they had wonderful stories at their disposal. that they decided to ignore, because they decided, guess what we're going to do? We're going to use nostalgia, but then still introduce new characters, but the new characters are not going to be new enough, or rather, they're not going to be based on, hey, we want them to be strong characters. No, instead it was, we need representation. We need more representation, and so therefore our characters are going to be strong female characters, multiracial characters, etc., and that's where the focus is going to be. And then, of course, as soon as we're critical of the decisions they're making, we're immediately called any istophobe that you could possibly be imagining, right? Any variation of the terms. When all that we've done is shown, no, what they did was they tried to use nostalgia. They tried to, and they're still doing it. I mentioned this yesterday with the fact that the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is rumored to now have Jar Jar Binks. They are using nostalgia to bring the fans in so that they can then push their woke identity politics by saying, oh, but we're also going to bring in these new characters, and all of them are going to have to fit into the identitarian politics that we and so many other people in Hollywood have to play by. That is the reason why this franchise has gone into the dirt. Yeah, you might be able to say, it made $1 billion still. It's still profitable. But at what cost? At the destruction of the IP? Good job then. If that's what you want, if you want applause for making $1 billion film or what's about to be $1 billion film, good job. You've also destroyed the IP in the process, and now you have even the shill media coming out trying to say, yeah, this is the first $1 billion disappointment. And I would just change this headline to one other thing, and that is we have the first $1 billion disaster. And that disaster is for the IP. That is a disaster for Lucasfilm and frickin' Bob Iger. And guess what? Disney executives, Disney shareholders, hold these people's feet to the fire because they don't give a damn. They don't care. And if you want to make any money off the future of Star Wars, they gots to go. So anyway, let me know your thoughts about this. My box office breakdown will be on the Geeks and Gamers channel probably within the next hour because the numbers tend to drop in the next 2 minutes or so. Disney is always notorious for releasing them later than usual. So as soon as I have those numbers to break down, I will make a video that will go live on the Geeks and Gamers channel. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave me know any comments that you want to know, anything we talked about in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash the like button, give me a subscribe. It helps me out a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless. And now I want to give a shout out to my January Patreon members: animation commentator Brian P, Dion, Divex, Elizabeth M, Enrique Evangelista, Fan Addicts of Film, Father Christopher Miller, Hail Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, It's a Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, JJ Jonathan Jerembeck, Lady T, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Perpetual Punster, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Sir Lanceloto, Theodore Bendon, The DJD Show, Those Two Ball Guys, and Tina B, and Sharon Ferguson. Sharon! Thank you so much for being Patreon members. And of course, to my Subscribe Star peeps, Larry, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Darkstar 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J-Rod the Beer Guru, Nevalan G. Adams, and ZK Man. Thank you so much for supporting me this month. You guys freaking rock.